The present administration marks 365 days, a whole year in office. Top on its agenda is the war on corruption, the security of lives and property, and improving the economy. The president, on assumption of office, said that he belongs to everybody and nobody. In what ways has this affected the people of Nigeria to this time? Is the government's policy the right one to ease the pains of the people and get them out of poverty? Or has it plunged them further in? The Minister for Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, says that the road to recovery will be rough. What does this mean in the coming days? Data feeds still coming through one place simultaneously on all our social media platforms. We'll focus on the biggest stories at this time. You can also check them out on Channels TV, YouTube, and more. Be part of the show. Tweet at Gimba Umar CTV and use the hashtag State of the Nation. Tell us what you make of the President Buhari's 1 year in office. It's prime time in Lagos, and this is State of the Nation. Welcome everybody in Nigeria and the rest of the world. I am Gimba Umar. We begin with the assessment of the policies of the president 1 year into his administration, where government policies have generated controversy in many sectors since it came into office on May the 29th last year, having won a historic election which saw a shift in power from the PDP's 16 years rule, losing to the opposition All Progressives Congress. To focus on the government's scorecard, one-time Governor of Imo State, Ikedi Ohake, joins me from our Abuja studios. I want to thank you so much indeed for coming on the show at this time. Being a politician and still active in the game, you have seen the political transition from the PDP to the APC, and of course the APC's adopted governance structure to this time. 1 year in the span of the new government. What's your general assessment of the regime of President Muhammadu Buhari?
Thank you very much. It's been tough and rough. It's been 1 year of toughness and 1 year of roughness. But that does not mean that the administration may not be able to get it right. You see, this administration came in after 16 years of PDP. There has never been any opposition taking over administration in this country. Those who have relationship with outsiders, those who have brought investors, those who have interacted with international community are members of PDP. And then this administration came in and then made some promises. Before its arrival, the electioneering campaign was very tiring. It was unprecedented in the history of this country. The volume and velocity of propaganda was also unprecedented. The administration came in. It took 6 months for the Buhari administration to be able to constitute its cabinet. Talking about the administration has only spent 6 months. We cannot assess the administration now for 1 year because the presidency is 1 year, but the administration is only 6 months old. That is the truth. The situation now is that, listening to the Honorable Minister of Information, we are in for a big problem. Naira has been devalued. The revenue of the government has dropped by more than 60%. We are completely into double-digit inflation. People are losing jobs in droves. Over 500,000 jobs have been lost. The administration is trying to also cope with the international community. 1 year of the presidency, we are still yet to get the ambassadors that will be speaking for Nigeria in many of the big countries, America, Britain, France, even China. Many countries don't like to talk to chat their affair. They want to speak to the main people, the ambassadors of countries. And I believe the situation in which we are now, which can be termed a war situation, that this government must do everything humanly possible to begin to drive this vehicle called Nigeria. Anything short of that of bringing everybody on board, we are in for a bigger problem.
You have clearly outlined the so many plagues, if you might call it that, this government is facing at the moment, of course, with dwindling fortunes from crude oil and, of course, the economy almost dropping into recession. What do you suppose is a way out? Is the government on the right path to recovery? Let's start from there.
I think the government can be in the right path. I don't think it's in the right path right now. The government must do something that will bring it to begin to prioritize. Priority must be something these governments must take very importantly. The government must be able to spend itself out of this problem in which we find ourselves. If you take an example of Ethiopia, or even the small country of 800,000 people called Djibouti, Djibouti is spending about 45 billion now on infrastructure. Ethiopia is spending much more than that. Kenya is spending 26 billion on this, what it terms as the International Resource City and infrastructure. There are so many things happening in this country. I remember that the first outing of President Buhari in this country was the breaking of sword, or the laying the foundation stone, as the case may be, of the northern trans highway in Cross River State, where he gave the promise that he will come in to commission that project. Such projects that will open up the north, the solid minerals, give alternative highway to this country, decongest Lagos, coupled with the seaport in Cross River of 16-meter draft. Those two projects costing about $2.something billion must be a priority of the government. In terms of road, I can give you one other example. There's a road in Kogi. That road is called Kogi-Miaka-Otiocha Road. From the center of southeast to Abuja, takes a minimum of 7 hours. If that road is done, from southeast to Abuja will take 3 hours. We'll cut 3 hours short on that road. The contract for that road was awarded in 2009 to a company called NigerCat by Obasanjo administration. NigerCat did an appreciable job on that project, and from 2009 to this time, that project was abandoned. I can go ahead and give you several examples, but that is not a bad story all the way. Good things are happening in this country, in this administration. If you go to places like Kebbi, there is agricultural revolution happening in Kebbi. You go to Cross River, there's a wonder man there, the governor, who is creating jobs in droves. The projects he has can give a cumulative job creation of over 3 million. The garment industry he just commissioned now is giving job to about 3,000 people. There are so many other states where wonder things are happening. In Akwa Ibom, so many things are happening there. In Lagos State, a memorandum of understanding was signed recently by Ambode's administration with a foreign company for the 4th Mainland Bridge. So Mr. President must come up now and say, listen, I will take up these responsibilities myself, most of them not going through the civil service, and then we spend this country, we spend ourselves out of this quagmire, because we are gradually entering the liquidity trap, and it will be extremely difficult to bring this country out of liquidity trap, except Mr. President takes the bull by the horn. If small countries can raise the necessary finance to spend themselves out of problem, I see no reason why we cannot do that.
Now, with the way that politics has evolved in Nigeria, especially looking at what has happened during the elections in 2015 and the transition period, also seeing the shift of power from the PDP to the APC, we have had a situation of the election process. What, in your view, how do you coin it right now as to the situation that we have concerning the status of elections in Nigeria? Would you say that we have gotten it right to an extent?
I think we are still in primary school as far as our politics is concerned. We are a third world nation. Political parties can be termed rightly as vehicles with which people can get to where they are heading to be able to serve their people. We will get it right. INEC is still very fresh. There are other countries, technology is evolving. We have not got it right. And if you look at the situation, let me give you an example with what is happening in my party, the PDP. What is happening is a very good omen. What the problem in PDP now is showing that PDP is still a force to be reckoned with. People outside are fighting for the soul of PDP. People inside are fighting for the soul of PDP. That means PDP is still very viable. And that shows that the political class is also doing very well. If people can fight to enter a party that is not in power, I quite doff my heart for our country. Everybody is listening today what is happening to PDP. So if APC can get its own acts together, the way PDP is trying to get its acts together, we'll be able to combine forces to be able to salvage the problem of this country.
Let's talk about the presidency and, of course, the legislative arm of government. There seem to have been a dozen of perceived rifts from the start of this administration, constituting the key positions in the Senate, for example, and, of course, the National Assembly. You know the whole story. How has the start of the government in the country affected this political equation?
I think it's one of the most unfortunate things this administration experienced when it came into power, the rift between the legislature and the executive. It impacted negatively to this administration. Up till now, as I'm talking to you, there is still tension within the legislative arm of government. And then the Mr. President must do something as quickly as possible to make sure we douse this tension. Everybody is in his toes. The president of the Senate, who happens to be the head of the legislature, is being prosecuted. And the way the case is being done every day, every hour, shows that there is something sinister about it. I may be wrong, I may be right, but this is the way Nigerians perceive it. We have so many things that are more important to do. The thing is that the tension in the country, Mr. President must make sure that the wall of tension, the wall of not believing in the change must be broken. Everybody must be made to come into one basket and begin to serve this nation. Because if we don't do that, we won't be able to come out with proper laws to be able to access the international funding to be able to create jobs for our teeming masses and our youths.
So what do you suggest in this regard?
You see, what I suggest is that there must be immediate presidential intervention. And then what is happening in the National Assembly, the executive must leave the National Assembly alone. Those who are there now, if they are good for their members, they should be left alone. If there's going to be a problem, let it be internal problem between members of the National Assembly. And it shouldn't be between the executive trying to intervene directly or indirectly in the affairs of the National Assembly. Interesting.
Let me just put you on hold for a minute or two and we'll go on a short break. I've been speaking to the former governor of Imo State, Ikedio Hakim, on the 365 days of the President, Muhammadu Buhari, and his achievements so far. You're watching State of the Nation. We'll be back after these messages.